911, what is your emergency?
We have an unwanted guest in our office right now by the name of Bob Burton. He was a nuisance in our office a couple of weeks ago, and he's back again.
Okay.
We just have somebody to come out and escort him out of the building.
Uh-huh.
That would be great.
Okay, I'll get him en route.
Okay.
I know what you're doing.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. And so it is to the printing press, to the recorder of man's deeds, the keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance, confident that with your help, man will be what he was born to be, free and independent, free and independent, free and independent.
Associated Industries of Florida, there's about 45 of them around the country, similar to Chambers of Commerce. We're an interesting organization in that in our history since 1920, we've been a secret organization. We don't divulge, nor do we confirm or deny who our members are. And if you go to our website, you can't see who our board of directors are. And that's for one reason. That's because AIF is the kind of organization that draws the line in the sand and tells an organization, if you're going to cross that line, we will fight you to hell and back. And we do that, and that anonymity that we provide our members gives us the opportunity to oppose a governor, oppose the Speaker of the House, a Senate President, or anybody else without our members taking retribution or making it look like it's self-interest for them.
We developed these 20, 25-year economic forecasts that show that if we invest this money into the electric system, then the economy is going to take off. That's all that's needed. And we inflate these tremendously. Hugely inflated forecasts. And these are not realistic by any means, and the people making the forecasts know they're not realistic. Tremendous pressure is put upon us. Tremendous pressure was put upon me to make these forecasts higher and higher and higher to justify more and more loans. So the economic forecasts are developed to justify loans, not to present any picture of reality. And I would often have to stand before a board or a committee at the banks and defend my forecasts, and they would pick holes in them. Some of these people who were quite junior really saw through what I was doing. But I always knew that above those people, their bosses knew exactly what was going on. And they were determined that the country that I was doing this forecast for was going to get that loan, that this was going to move forward. So it was a charade. But sometimes we would spend several months before these committees, and I knew, as a lot of these other people do, deep in my heart, that what I was doing was wrong, but it's so easy to justify. because it's taught in our business schools, it's taught in our law schools, that this is the way to make development happen, investing in infrastructure. This isn't a mistake when these things that happen of building debt in these countries that can't repay it is not a mistake. It's a policy. It's well known. Everybody knows it's going on. Most of the money never goes to the country. In fact, it goes to our own corporations. It goes to the Bechtels and the Halliburtons and the ones we all hear about, usually led by engineering firms, but a lot of other companies are brought in. And they make fortunes off building big infrastructure projects in that country. Power plants, industrial parks, ports. The country's left holding this huge debt that it can't possibly repay. So at some point, we economic hitmen go back in and we say, you know, you can't pay your debts. You owe us a pound of flesh. You owe us a big favor. So sell your oil real cheap to our oil companies, or vote with us on the next critical United Nations vote, or send troops in support of ours to someplace in the world like Iraq. And so we use this whole process as, first of all, getting their money, basically, money we loan them, to enrich our own corporations, and then to use the debt to enslave them, to imprison them, to get them to have to agree to selling off their resources cheap. A few of its wealthy people have made a lot of money, but the other people are left holding this huge debt. And of course, that in turn feeds the whole system, so we can go back in later and offer another loan. It's very unfortunate that most people, certainly in America and I think many other places, feel that foreign aid is foreign aid, that it's altruistic, that it helps these countries, and it almost never does. There are some exceptions. After a tsunami or a great natural disaster, immediately some foreign aid goes in to put up tents and bring in food and water and so forth, but very soon after that, that gets corrupted too, and you start using that to build big hotels that are owned by the big international chains and restaurants and so on, not helping the mom and pop organizations. We set this thing up so that we put a country deep into debt. They come and look for something more. They need water, they need sewage, they need all kinds of things like this really for the poor people. And the IMF then steps in and sets the guidelines. And it sets what it calls conditionalities. And one of the conditionalities in this case, and in many, is to privatize, to turn the thing over to one of our companies. And that just perpetuates the system. Someone who looks like me, I had the job at one time, will walk into that president's office, speaks the language, speaks Spanish, whatever, Portuguese, walks into the office and says, "Congratulations, Mr. President," or in the case of Chile, Ms. President. And now I just want to remind you that I can make you and your family very, very rich if you play my game, our game. Or I can see to it that you're thrown out of office or assassinated if you decide to fulfill your campaign promises. And usually it's said a little more subtly than that because there may be a tape recorder listening. So we perpetuate the system that way. Here you offer from this pocket you offer a few $100 million, corruption. Or from this pocket you offer subversives, jackals, to go in and overthrow the government or assassinate the president. And I talked about this on a presidential level, but it happens all the way down through the ranks. It happens at every governmental level, and it happens in the corporations in those countries, and it happens throughout the whole system. On a very few instances, when neither the economic hitmen nor the jackals are successful, then and only then do we send in the military.